Welcome to a journey of self-discovery and transformation. Today we're diving into breaking bad habits, unveiling Stoicism's secrets. We all carry with us habits that we yearn to shrug off, those minor actions we perform subconsciously that seem to hinder us from reaching our utmost potential. You might frequently find yourself running late, or perhaps you've noticed that you squander precious time aimlessly scrolling through social media when there are more pressing matters to cater to. Regardless of what your detrimental habit is, you're in good company and it's not something to blame yourself for. Such habits are deeply embedded in our minds, but here's the silver lining. They can be altered. In our journey today, we're going to delve into the wisdom of a philosophy that has empowered numerous individuals throughout the annals of history to shatter their bad habits and lead more gratifying lives. Stoicism. We will navigate through the understanding of bad habits and the application of Stoic principles to help us cultivate self-control, disengage from destructive emotions, and undertake realistic measures to conquer our bad habits. So let's embark on this transformational journey, and always remember, awareness is the stepping stone to change. Before we dive into the solutions, it's crucial to understand what we're up against. When we talk about bad habits, we're referring to those persistent behaviors that, despite our best intentions, seem stuck on repeat in our lives. They're the pesky patterns that over time shape our days in ways that often don't serve us well. You see, habits are essentially automatic responses, triggered by specific cues. They're our brain's way of going on autopilot, saving energy for more complex tasks. Unfortunately, not all habits are created equal, and some can have a detrimental impact on our lives. Bad habits can range from the seemingly innocuous, like biting your nails, to the more serious, such as habitual procrastination or excessive spending. They're often born out of stress, boredom, or instant gratification, and once formed, can be notoriously difficult to break. So, what's the big deal, you might ask? Well, the issue with bad habits is that they're not just inconsequential quirks. They can have far-reaching effects on our health, productivity, relationships, and overall well-being. A diet laden with junk food, for example, can lead to health issues like obesity and heart disease. Chronic procrastination can affect your work performance and add unnecessary stress to your life. Even seemingly minor habits like constantly checking your phone can rob you of valuable time and focus. But here's the kicker. These behaviors often fly under the radar, subtly influencing our actions without us even realizing it. They're like stealthy saboteurs, undermining our efforts to lead healthier, more productive lives. The good news, we're not powerless in the face of our bad habits. The first step towards change is awareness. By recognizing our bad habits and understanding their triggers, we can begin to take control. Knowing is half the battle. Now that we understand bad habits, let's move on to how Stoicism can help us break them. Scene script, self-control, a virtue highly valued in Stoicism, is the key to breaking bad habits. Stoicism, a philosophical school born in the heart of ancient Greece, places a significant weight on the virtue of self-control. Why, you might ask? The Stoics understood that our reactions to the world around us, more than the world itself, shape our feelings, thoughts, and ultimately, our actions. In other words, while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond. And that's where self-control comes into play. Imagine life as a raging river. We can't stop the river's flow, but we can learn to navigate its currents. That's the essence of self-control in Stoicism. Not to suppress or ignore our impulses, but to understand them, to navigate them, and to choose our responses wisely. Now let's talk about bad habits. They're often a result of impulsive behavior, aren't they? We reach for that sugary snack without thinking. We procrastinate on important tasks. We react angrily to criticism. These are all instances where lack of self-control gives way to detrimental habits. Stoicism teaches us to exercise self-control by reducing such impulsive behavior. It encourages us to pause, to reflect, and to make conscious decisions rather than acting on autopilot. The more we practice this, the better we get at it, just like any other skill. This increased mindfulness allows us to recognize when we're slipping into old patterns and gives us the chance to choose a different, healthier response. But remember, Stoicism isn't about punishing yourself for lack of self-control. It's about understanding that we're all works in progress. It's about learning from our mistakes and growing stronger with each challenge we face. Self-control in Stoicism is not a destination, but a journey. Mastering self-control is the first step towards breaking bad habits, but Stoicism offers even more tools. Another powerful tool from Stoicism is emotional detachment, a crucial step in breaking free from bad habits. Imagine a life where your decisions are not dictated by fleeting emotions, but by conscious, rational thought. This is what emotional detachment, a key principle in Stoicism, can bring to your life, especially when it comes to breaking bad habits. Emotional detachment doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring your emotions. Rather, it's about observing them, understanding them, but not allowing them to control your actions. It's like standing in the eye of the storm where you can see the chaos, but you remain unaffected. So, how does this help in breaking bad habits? Well, most bad habits are formed as a response to certain emotional triggers. Stress might trigger emotional eating. Boredom might lead to excessive screen time, or anxiety might lead to nail biting. By practicing emotional detachment, we can identify these triggers and choose not to act upon them impulsively. But don't get it wrong, emotional detachment isn't about becoming a robot. Stoics are not devoid of emotions, they simply choose not to be slaves to their emotions. They understand that emotions are transient, they come and they go. What remains constant is our capacity for rational decision-making. By detaching from the emotional triggers, we allow ourselves the space to make rational decisions. Instead of reaching for that bag of chips when we're stressed, we choose to take a walk or meditate. Instead of spending hours scrolling through social media out of boredom, we choose to read a book or engage in a hobby. Emotional detachment in Stoicism is about taking back control. It's about deciding that our actions will not be dictated by our emotions, but by our rational mind. It's about understanding that while we cannot control our emotions, we can control our response to them, and that's the beauty of Stoicism. It empowers us to break free from the shackles of emotional triggers and make rational decisions that are in our best interest. It gives us the strength to say no to the bad habits that are holding us back and say yes to a more fulfilling and meaningful life. With emotional detachment, we can rise above the emotional triggers that often cause us to fall back into bad habits. Now that we've discussed the principles, it's time to put Stoicism into action. Our first step is to identify our bad habits. We all have them, those little things we do without thinking that don't serve our higher purpose. Identifying them is the first step towards breaking them. Write them down, make a list. It's important to be brutally honest with ourselves here. Stoicism teaches us that self-awareness is key in self-improvement. Once we've identified our bad habits, the next step is to understand why we have them. Every habit serves a purpose, even the bad ones. Maybe it's a coping mechanism or a way to avoid dealing with something uncomfortable. Whatever the reason, understanding it is crucial to breaking the habit. Now, we must replace the bad habit with a good one. This is where Stoicism truly shines. Stoicism teaches us to replace emotion-driven habits with reason-driven ones. Instead of reaching for that sugary snack when you're stressed, take a few deep breaths, meditate, or go for a walk. Replace the bad with the good, and do it consistently. Next, we need to practice mindfulness. Be present in every moment, fully aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. When the urge to fall back into old patterns arises, acknowledge it, then let it go. Remember, you are not your habits. You have the power to change them. Finally, be patient with yourself. Stoicism teaches us to accept that change is difficult and takes time. Don't beat yourself up if you falter. Instead, see it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Each mistake is a stepping stone on the path to becoming a better version of ourselves. Remember, the journey of breaking bad habits is a marathon, not a sprint. Practice these principles consistently, and you'll see the power of Stoicism in action.